What's up, guys? Welcome in. We're a little early, but what's up? Last few times we've done this, so figured we'd hop on a little early, give ourselves a chance to see if we can get. Oh, and look at that. First try. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's great.
When you have someone as highly regarded and revered as Lance, they just Instagram works. That's awesome. Well, we'll wait just 1 minute here because we're just a minute early. What's up, guys? As you're coming in, feel free to drop into the comment section where you're tuning in from. Would love to see where you guys watching from. Are you in the U.S.? Are you outside the U.S.? What state are you in? Would love to see where you guys are tuning in from while we let everyone kind of roll in. Lance is my last name. That's cool. Again, if you want to drop where you're tuning in from, would love to see. Got a handful of the Utah peeps. Woodland, California. There we go. North Carolina. That's awesome. Lance's basement. Epic.
That must be my son. Wow.
Must be. Idaho, Maryland, Logan, Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. Very cool. Texas, St. George, Ogden, all over. This is great. We're excited to have Lance here, guys. Again, I started a little early because we've had technical difficulties the last few times, so I figured we'd, get a little bit early start. But we're rocking and rolling. Palmyra, Utah. Wow. Okay. We're reaching all the corners of the state. Looks like Fresno, California. There you go. Good old Fresno. All right, guys. Well, we're here. Let's go ahead and get started. First off, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Just a reminder, again, we're going to try to keep this about 30 minutes. We will have a Q&A at the end. I promise, if you guys are here, this is one of those question and answers that you're going to want to take part in. Lance is extremely knowledgeable, has a lot of experience. It's going to be awesome to kind of hear from him and let you guys pick his brain a little bit. Also, a reminder, we are giving away a $50,000 live funded account for futures trading at the end of this to one lucky individual who is on this live. So again, if you're here on this live, we have the ability to see who that is. You're going to be entered into a raffle to receive that funded account. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce Lance. I'm gonna just let you introduce yourself, Lance, because your list of accomplishments and kind of what you've done throughout life is pretty awesome. So why don't you tell us and everyone listening to this who you are, kind of your background, and your experience in trading, just in general up to this point.
Sure. So my name is Lance Hale. I live in Kaysville, Utah. I've lived in Utah most of my life, but lived in Brazil a couple of times for work and other opportunities, and lived in Texas as well, Katy, Texas. I've been in the BPO, which is business process outsourcing, or you can think of it as contact center space, a lot of it for the last 35 years. And the last 10 years, I've been in a C-level position. I've been a CEO of a company, a chief administration officer, several C-level positions in a company. My hobbies, I love to cycle, indoors and outdoors, mostly outdoors if I can. I golf. I love to golf, Black Desert, if you can see my shirt there. And then
Awesome.
I love to trade. And those things keep me extremely busy with working 50 to 60 hours a week. I got started in trading probably in about 2010. My boss, who's the COO of the company, went to another company and their stock was really low. And I knew, like, I have got to figure a way out to buy this company's stock. And I still remember the stock was 83 cents. And I cobbled together, like, I don't know, seven or $8,000 and said, I'm going all in because I know this guy. He's going to cut costs. He's going to prove it. Sold that at like a 50% profit. Would have waited, it would have gone up 10x. But that's kind of
Right.
how I got started in trading. Started really just trading spot stocks. And then in 2017, I got into Bitcoin for about a year and
Cool.
got out, unfortunately, in 2017. But then really in 2021 during the pandemic, I was still trading stocks this whole time, mostly just spot, not options, a little bit of options. And
Mhm.
then I got into crypto trading where I didn't sleep for 4 years. because if you blinked, the stock or the coin was up or down. Really got heavy back into Bitcoin probably in 2022, and now I used to hodl Bitcoin. Now I trade Bitcoin because of kind of my beliefs of where it's going. And then about a year ago, I took the mastermind class and learned about zero DTEs. I didn't know of all the options trading I'd done and everything else. I just didn't realize that there were, you know, a dozen stocks or less than a dozen stocks that had zero DTEs. And I took the mastermind class, and it added a component to my trading that I is invaluable.
Cool. That's awesome. And I think you guys listening, what's so cool about Lance, most people we bring on here, right? There are people who had no previous experience trading, right? No previous experience in the financial markets or sector, whether that's, trading, long-term investing, whatever the case is. But for you, Lance, it seems like you did have quite a bit of exposure, right? You traded, stock equity spot, you traded, cryptocurrency, which, yes, you're right. If you want to never sleep again, be a Bitcoin crypto. We always laugh like drawdowns as a day trader. If you're from the crypto space, it's like this is nothing. Like this is nothing. Like unless you've experienced an 80% drawdown, you don't know what pain actually is. So really cool to see someone who has such a different background from the typical person we bring on these Instagram lives. Plus the fact that you have done extremely well for yourself in your own business outside of trading. Right? Again, a C-level. Individual meaning COO, CEO, basically running, large level businesses, much different perspective. So I want to ask you a few questions and kind of get your take on a few things. And I'm sure that those listening are very interested as well. So about a year ago, you took the mastermind, and you said, for lack of a better word, you found out there was different options to trade options, right? You learned some things that you hadn't before. So what was your initial thought going through the mastermind program? Kind of how was that learning process up to the point, where you started actually taking trades? What kind of was your overall thought and experience of the mastermind?
Well, it helped me a lot because with trading, there's a lot of emotion, right?
Mhm.
And you talked a lot about in that course for sure about how to take emotion out of it, how to take biases out of it, how to reset, right? And I've known that, and I've heard that, and I've read books about that, but that was really important to me in the course. And like I said, I really didn't realize there were zero TDTs. There's a lot of times I traded weekly options
Mhm.
on stocks, but I just didn't know that with SPY and QQQ. And then really the technical charting is a lot of the things that I learned from there with, just different levels and really understanding me. One of the biggest things was how important volume played in all of this, right? And
Mhm.
liquidity. And so those are things that I think I knew, but until I took the course, my eyes were kind of opened. I went, oh my, you know what? Of course, right?
Yeah.
Volume and liquidity and everything else is so important. And so that's where I started implementing probably maybe just less than a year ago, but I started implementing zero DTs into my trades. I do longer term options. I still do spot. I still do Bitcoin, but zero DTs have come probably 75% of my focus in trading.
That's awesome. So previous to the mastermind portions that we teach, at Uncommon, you weren't really even a part of your trading, and now compromises, 75% of your effort in your trading and investing in that realm, which is very, very cool. And I think what you said, and something I just wanted to point out, is so many people kind of have that same thought or same feeling where it's almost like, yeah, I knew it was all there, but we just organize the chaos. It's almost just like you know all the different elements, but we found a way to kind of bring them all together to understand how to read the market. And for those watching, whether you are a part of Uncommon or do something with us or not, the reality is volume and price action. That's how you determine where price is going. It's really as simple as that. And I think so many people go wrong in trying to be too fancy with indicators and all these different types of levels. The reality is you could have nothing on your chart other than the candlesticks and volume, and you could successfully trade the market just because that's what identifies where price is going. So having gone through the mastermind, right, you then start trading on your own. Why don't you share maybe a few either, I don't know, good performances you've had, big trades, big months, like what are some things, again, whatever you're comfortable with, Lance, what are some
Sure.
things that have have transpired since then that have helped you in your trading? As again, you are someone who has previous experience.
Well, yeah. So one of the things I learned from the mastermind course was the journaling, and I'd always heard about journaling and how important that was, and really tracking that. A lot of times when you're trading, it's easy for me, really, which is a bad and a good trait, to forget the bad really quickly
Yeah.
and not realize like what a mistake I made and don't really reflect on that. So I started journaling not until the last 3 months, right? It was November 22nd. I started journaling my zero DTE trades and really anything that was within a week of expiration.
Yeah.
And I still do my other spot stuff. And, I bought, I've, Microsoft and NVIDIA and things like that. I don't count that in there, but I just started tracking those that I was doing in like 75% of my time. And it I've learned a lot of things in it, but I really, my trade size is probably average than most people's trade size.
Mhm.
Um, I've made in the last 90 days a lot of trades, right? Some things that too many trades in a lot of cases, right? I look back
Mhm.
and go, I didn't wait for some setups. I should have waited, but I made about 500 plus trades in that system over the last 90 days,
Awesome.
and I'm my account, my average trade size was about 2,500. So probably, I know you're usually trading like $400 or $500 sizes, but I trade about $2,500 sizes, and I'm in the last 90 days on this, I'm up over $80,000.
That is incredible. So I want you guys to just hear that for a second. So over the last 90 days, implementing zero DT options, right? What he kind of learned throughout the mastermind program. Did you say $80,000 in those 3 months? That is
Yes,
incredible with
yes.
a $2,500 position size. And so, for those who are wondering what that actually looks like, a $2,500 position size, we have people trading with far greater amounts than that within uncommon education trading, and quite a few who are a lot less than that. And what I love about this is exactly what options trading is it's a way to maximize upside with minimizing downside, right? And I think what is fun is with options trading when you really look at it, there is only so much you can lose on an options trade, right? But there truly is infinite upside, right? Infinite. It could go up as much as you can imagine, right? Like as far as stock goes, that's how much it can go up. You can only lose what you put in to an options trade. So let's talk about that. So $80,000 over the last 90 days. What would you say you would attribute that success to? Was it strategy? Was it discipline? Was it the ability to read markets differently than you had prior? Was it kind of a combination of things? For someone who maybe like isn't really aware of what the stock market is, or maybe some who are kind of trying to find that, level of profitability, what are, a few factors you would contribute to your success? And by the way, guys, if you have questions, we're going to let you guys, fire those off here, in about, 15 or so minutes. But yeah, what are some things you would say you would attribute that success to, Lance?
Yeah, and I'll add one thing before. If I would have, and this is the thing that as I journal these things, I just go, how stupid am I? But if I would have put stop losses even at 50%, if I just
Hmm.
took the losses I had where I went to zero
Yeah.
and you just had my option out there, if I would have gone to 50%, I'd be up 120K. So
Wow.
there's $40,000 I truly left on the table, even if I just set a 50% stop loss.
Right.
And really, it really comes down to I can now see like different times of the day. Really, obviously, the first 45 minutes, an hour, and then different times later in the day, I could go, wow, what I learned in the class, I can see like what you taught. I can see that the price action, the volume. Hey, this has been the trend of this is going up all day long. And look, we just had four, 5, 6 5-minute candles where it dropped, but there's no volume.
Right.
And I go, oh my gosh, this opportunity is perfect. And I get in, and sure enough, right, it goes back to the trend for the day. The volume comes in at different times, and I'm successful that way. And so a lot of it is like patience, not taking trades just to take a trade, which I
Hmm.
still do. Don't get me wrong. But
Sure.
what I see a lot of times during the day, I go, oh my gosh, I'll just be doing something else. And I'll see a chart that's up on my other screen. And I'll go, oh my gosh, what's going on? I'll look at the volume and go, I've got to get in either short or long. And that's the other thing too, is unbiased. I've got to be better being unbiased. I'm really more biased towards the long side,
Hmm.
but there really is a lot of, you know, put option opportunities that I've learned more to take. I still am very heavily biased to the long side, but it's really the price action, the volume, and those setups that really have just like it's just like I see it now that I've been through the course and seen and spent the time doing it.
Well, and sounds like yes, you could be better, sure, short side, but it sounds like you're doing just fine considering the time span, your position sizing. I would say we're going to give that an A+ execution on your end. So don't be too hard on yourself there. One thing that is funny about again shorts versus calls, I've always heard and learned when I was kind of getting involved in all this. Price, climbs a ladder up and then it jumps off a cliff to come back down, And so
Yeah.
if you want just these violent trades, or where they move so fast, yeah, you're typically gonna get those on the shorts. But again, the more consistent, steady Eddie catching those moves as they climb, that's to the upside. And again, we've had a lot of that over the last little while, which is so great. Um, okay, so here you are having tremendous success, right? Tremendous success with trading options, and again having all the experience that you had prior. So now, what's kind of the next step for you? What's your goals with position sizing? What's your goals with kind of overall where you're at now and kind of where you want to be with it? Sounds like yeah, maybe some more implementation of stop losses on the trades you're taking, but yeah, what are maybe a few more things that you're looking forward to or now have goals now that you've already had such short-term immediate success over the last 3 months especially?
Yeah, if you looked at I said that my last 3 months is about 2,500 average position size, but if you kind of looked at the last 30 days, it's probably much higher than that. So I've
Yeah.
I've shifted to be higher position size. Um, and then the other thing too is I've really I sometimes I'll chase, and I have several friends that do this, but kind of chase a position where I go, oh, if I just add to this, I'll get out of it.
Perfect.
And I'm trying to do that less. And as I said, I kind of take on trades that are not successful, I take some notes, I journal it, and I kind of look back and go back to those and go, okay, what was I doing? Why did I make that mistake? And a lot of my mistakes too are, and I've changed a little bit, where I'm pretty sure the direction, but sometimes I don't give myself enough time. And so sometimes I'll look towards the end of the day and go, I know this is the direction it's going, and instead of buying uh, an option for that day, I'll buy one for the next day.
Mhm.
And and a lot of times it pans out. So it's really refining some of the things, increasing the position size, and then really being confident when I'm just like, I see this and it's clear to me, that I give myself enough time to make sure that it develops.
I love it. No, that's great, and there's so much truth to that. The we compare it a lot of times to being like a sniper, right, in the army, where sometimes you're sitting there, you're all locked and loaded, ready to go, got your eyes on the target, and you're waiting for days, right, days and days and days. Then you see your target, but there's a little wind that's off, or you see your target, and there's a civilian nearby that makes the shot not possible, and so it's so difficult to stay mentally in tune and ready to go, and then when the opportunity presents itself, being able to enter without hesitation. And again, it sounds like you do that really, really well. And I love your, kind of mindset approach. It's something I've talked about for years that I feel like you've done an extremely good job of is trading the stock market is like jazz music, right? Versus classical music. Classical music, every note's accounted for, exactly where it's going to go, this, that, the other. Jazz music, it kind of ebbs and flows, right? It's going one direction, then boom, some tweet from Trump or Elon, and that changes everything. Or boom, some news about a potential war, a potential this, and flips things again. And so, based on what you've again experienced from the success point now, and where you feel like the mastermind has enhanced your trading as someone who had all this experience, um, from a, let's call it, now where so many other tickers have zero DTE, right? Because over the last little bit,
Yes.
it's not just SPY and QQQ anymore, right? So for those who trade know, it's now a lot of the individual ticker names, big names, right? So are you now, I guess, expanding the tickers you're trading zero DTE? Are you sticking with SPY QQQ? Kind of walk us through kind of how you feel about that, or what you're doing
Yeah.
now in that regard.
Yeah. Several of them have, like, I think they're every other day. They're not
Mm-hmm.
dailies too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have been, initially it was mostly SPY and QQQ, but if you look at some of the things I've traded, like I look at some of my trades today and this week, AMD, NVIDIA, Amazon. MicroStrategy or Strategy now, MSTR.
Yep.
Um, what else? So yeah, I have expanded those, and I was conditioned a lot to look at QQ and SPY, uh, triple Qs and SPY, but there's opportunities too with kind of, I do a lot of listening and watching, not as much tweets, but kind of listening and watching the news. And so some of these things where I kind of feel like, hey, strongly, like Nvidia, right? I mean, earnings was today and everything else, and I had some strong opinions on Nvidia and calls for Friday or puts for Friday, those sorts of things. And so, yeah, I have expanded a lot to different things. And the other thing too is the markets are now a lot of the markets you can just trade 5 by 24
Yeah.
things, not options, but right. So that's been part of it as well, is that expansion, and I think we'll see that continue to expand.
I know they're talking about the 24-hour markets for, options and stocks as well. I mean, there's a lot coming. Let's talk for just a moment about your style of trading. There's different types of trading, especially when you're trading futures or options, right? Which is what we do at Uncommon. There's scalping, which is you're holding on to positions for seconds or minutes. These are quick hitting trades. There's day trading, right? Where you're holding on to positions for minutes to hours, but you're never holding overnight. And then there's kind of the day trading, swing trading, which is you do allow the room to breathe and the ability to, if like you say, some scenarios, if structure still looks good and you feel good, on an overnight position, you will hold overnight. So I think a lot of people are kind of more in that scalp minds. Again, that's what I grew up doing, in the markets, so to speak, scalping, day trading at those points. So I guess number one, have you always traded that way? And then number two, I think one of the biggest follies of a day trader is not holding on to a winning position, right? And so letting it run, right? They'll cut their wins short and then they'll kind of hold on to their losing trades. So yeah, have you always traded with kind of that more long term mindset? And then number two is what allows you or what helps you to win in a winning position to still be confident and optimistic and hold to kind of maximize the win, so to speak.
Yeah, it's funny. And that's a great question, because I look at some of the trades I've made over the last 2 days, and some of them I held for 6, 7 minutes, right?
Hmm.
I'm like, I got it right. It moved 20%, I'm out. And I kind of in my mind have a dollar amount based on what I'm trading to go. If I see this number, I just am gonna take I'm gonna take it. Or I'll take half, right? I'll take half of them off the table, the options, and do that. So I've I I'm not I am a scalper if I just like I just all of a sudden get it right and it moves quick.
Sure.
I would say my average is I probably hold it um, 45 minutes to an hour, and
Mhm.
then but I am probably more of a swing trader. Like I'll kind of go, hey, even hey, I've got some calls for today and that are expiring today, and it's moving up. I think Fridays, I think if I just buy some for Friday too, it'll continue to go that way. So that's kind of how I like, maybe I'll cash those in and buy the quick ones for Friday and say, okay, I know over the next 2 days I see this market going, which I think, right, if Nvidia holds and everything else, I think the market for the rest of the week's probably going up, right? If it holds up above. And so I'm kind of a little biased that way right now. And so I'll sort of think that direction and do that. But I've done a lot more scalping than I ever did. I never used to scalp because I
Mhm.
didn't really understand 0DTs, but I would say um, I'm probably in the middle. There's
Cool.
times of the day I'll be in and out, and then I've got two positions overnight.
That's awesome. No, I love it. And that I don't want to say variety, but the multiple angles of attack, I guess you could say, utilizing all of it, right? The ability to hold positions overnight, the ability to scalp when you're right immediately, the ability to hold on for a couple of hours. I think that's such a great way to approach the market, right? Never all of your eggs in one basket and kind of capitalizing on all fronts, which I think is great. And again, for those just hopping in, about 5 more minutes, we're going to open up for Q&A. You guys can ask Lance whatever questions you have. This is an individual that we're very lucky to have on an Instagram live with us. Successful CEO, COO, very successful in his personal life. Again, just disclose he's made $80,000 trading 0DT options over the last 3 months. So again, hang those questions, hang tight. We're going to get there in just a moment. But I do want to touch on, so even though you are scalping, you are day trading, you still are swing trading. all these different methods where you're holding positions overnight, you're again in and out quick, you are utilizing the same concept of price action, volume, and technical analysis, even if you do have a bias. So maybe you do have a bias for, Nvidia to go up or the stock market to hold as an overall sector, you're still using key levels, price action, volume to help you identify good entry points, where to get in, where to get out. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. And I've been trying to simplify it, like you said, is really volume, price action, and it really try to take some of the other things that I felt like were important, all these, Fibonacci levels and things like that, and just go, you know what, this is too complex. I just need to, be more disciplined, and then really know when to just cut a trade and go, hey, I'm down, I've lost. How do I get out of it and don't make myself worse in that position?
I love that. So, for those on this call who have traded before, who are trading currently, who have a hard time with that, right? Who have a hard time either exiting for a loss, admitting that they're wrong, right? Averaging down like you're discussing. And again, no one's perfect, right? No one is perfect at this for sure. But as someone who has been trading for a lot of years now, someone who is very involved with, the fastest moving contracts that you can buy, right? Trading options. What advice would you give to someone who, maybe has a hard time accepting the loss? Like kind of internally being like, hey, it's okay, we're wrong, let's cut it, where they just are like, nope, I'm too stubborn, I'm gonna hang on to it. Like what advice or what's helped you kind of develop that mindset over the years of trading?
It's been interesting because there's been some, I've had some big losses in these zero DTEs. If you looked at my trading, and a lot of times I just go back because and part of it's because I've been successful this way with the zero DTEs, but I kind of look up and go, hey, you know what? I'm up over $80,000. If I lose $1,500 on this trade, I know that if I hold it, I'm going to lose 3,000, right? It's going to be double that. So get out, look at it, look at that total, and just go, hey, you've been successful that way. And I have a really, it's my wife. This is one of the flaws I have, but I really like in a bad, if something bad happens, I really can forget it pretty quickly. If I have a friend that has turned on me and I don't like anymore, I could probably forget that person's name in 2 weeks. And so part of it's just my personality is I just kind of like, you got to get over it. Whatever you got to do, if you got to get up, if you got to go ride your bike, if you got to go play golf, you got to do something. But I got to forget that I made that mistake and move on. And some days, like I'll make a big mistake and go, you know what? There's another opportunity. I shouldn't trade. But I see something clear and go, you know what? No, you know that this is a good trade. Take it and be confident. And sometimes in the day, I will turn a loss into a win because hey, I took a $300 or $400 loss here, but I took $1,000 win here, and net I'm up $600.
Yeah. I love that so much. And, one of my favorite shows, Ted Lasso, it's a great show, hilarious. And one of the things he like is trying to teach one of his players, you know, animal or what a creature has the shortest memory, a goldfish, right? Goldfish can barely remember longer than like a couple minutes or something. So he's like, I want you all to be a goldfish, right? Be able to turn the page quickly, move on. And that is so cool that trait is something that you have because as a day trader, it's imperative, right? I mean, you literally have to be able to turn the page because on the flip side, if you have a big winning trade and you just stew on that and fester on that, then the opposite happens. Then you get too confident, you get
Yep.
sloppy, you get undisciplined, right? And so that ability of turning the page is so important on both sides of the coin. And yeah, it makes sense where your success is coming from because the other aspect of this, guys, and anyone who's listening to this, the stock market does not know what trade was, right? It does not know. So if you feel like, oh, the market's out to get me, oh, this is, every time I enter, it does the opposite, whatever. That's just simply not true, right? It's simply not true. The reality is the market doesn't know who you are. You are not even a tadpole in a pond. You're a tadpole in the ocean of what's going on in the market. And so if you feel confident, even if you just had a loss and you feel like the setup's, presenting itself, that ability to enter without hesitation is so difficult to do. And so again, if anyone's listening, I just want to point out because Lance, illustrated such an important part, and that's a really important aspect just in life in general, right? Turning the page, but in trading especially, That's a huge thing. Let's go one more question, and then I want you guys to have a healthy amount of time to ask Lance whatever questions you may have. Because again, we're really grateful for Lance's time, and we also want to be respectful of it. Again, he's very successful and has been a part of Uncommon now for a while. If anyone, let's do two questions, both directed towards either someone who's trading or someone who's not. So someone who is currently trading and is really struggling to find success, right? Whether that's they have a poor win rate, they have bad reward to risk ratios, right? Whatever the case may be, anyone who is not where they want to be trading, what is the one piece of advice that you could give to help them get started? Now, this could be something technical related, it could be something from like a journaling mindset related. If you had to pick one topic that maybe you feel you have that others don't, that's helped you be successful, what would you share to someone who is currently trading and not where they want to be or not profitable yet?
I would just say, the people that have taken the mastermind course, I kind of went back to some of those things and just went, you know what, I need to learn this better. Or even got onto one of the LLMs, ChatGPT or Perplexity, and
Mhm.
just ask the questions. I probably use ChatGPT or something similar 35% of my day. And a lot of it's with trading. I ask questions. Hey, I don't really understand. Teach me about price action or whatever it might be. So sometimes I'll go back to your courses, and then sometimes I'll just go right into the LLM and just ask the question and go deeper into it and kind of go into a rabbit hole and then go, oh, you know what? I took the concept I learned in the course. I've got some other supplemental information, and now I get it. And so, what I got out of the course, there's so much to learn. Even me, trading such a long time, that I kind of had to go back and just kind of like refresh my memory and listen to some things and read some other things, and it's helped a lot.
Awesome. So sounds like continual education, right? Just educating yourself to the, I mean, again, you guys are talking to someone who has, again, done extremely well in his personal life. Again, made $80,000 trading options over the last 3 months. And here he is telling you that 35% of his day, right, he is using ChatGPT, Anthropic, Grok, right? All these different, methods to help him become a better trader, become more knowledgeable. And that is a constant theme with anyone who's good at anything, is a continual thirst for knowledge, right? You're never there because as soon as you feel like you are there, guess what? You're going the other way, right? So I love that. Now, last question, okay? Last question, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So if you have questions, just hang tight one more second, and then, one more question, and we'll open it up. For someone who has a desire to get into the stock market, right? Has a desire to start trading, right? Wants more time, more freedom, do what you and I do, and they are, for whatever reason, hesitant, right? Maybe they don't feel like it's the right time. Maybe they've tried and failed previously. For someone who's trying to get involved who has not yet, do you have any advice for them, or is there any I don't know, feedback you could provide to someone who is just trying to get started but maybe hasn't made that commitment or that jump yet?
One of the things I learned early on in your course, right, is you don't have to put a ton of money out there, right? So it's just like anything, right? If you want to learn to golf and you're excited about golfing, you just have to take that leap. And it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. You could do some really easy small things. We'll trade one contract and track your progress and see where you're successful. I mean, I paper trading is a little different. Sometimes people like people to paper trade first and everything else like that and just kind of do some things. But I think just even having a small amount of money that you go, hey, this means something to me, the decisions I'm making and everything else, you can do it for relatively small. You don't have to do any sorts of size like I do. And I know a lot of people do that. And you know what? Sometimes if you trade $300 or 10,000 or $500,000, it's not just the money of it, it's the thrill of trading. I love it. It's just one of the things. It's one of my biggest hobbies, and I enjoy it so much, and it's addicting. So the more you do it, the better you become, the more you learn about it. And I just think it's just one of those things, just like, getting to be a better handicap in golf, right? You got to
Mhm.
put the time and effort into it. And if it's something that you really want to do, you should take the chance and try it out. And once again, you can do it with a little bit of money and really see if you can be successful.
I love that, and that's such good advice to anyone who does want to get started. Like right now, right at Uncommon, we're running a 5-day challenge for free. where I'm teaching, what the stock market is, difference between options and equity or shares, right? We taught a strategy, a full strategy yesterday. Tonight, it's our futures trading portion. So there's so many resources, not just at Uncommon, but just out there, free resources to get involved and to see if it's something you want to get involved with. People, I think, make such a big deal like, oh, I'm going to be making this decision. And the other thing, guys, is you don't have to publicly announce it to the world, right? Like, I think that's one of the biggest follies, right? Like, if I hop on, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get fit today. And it's like, well, if I go a day without, letting people know, I mean, it's like, well, oh, this guy, what are they doing? And so it's like, if you're concerned about what maybe someone else might think of you, or you are even concerned, like, just operate and work in silence and let the results speak for themselves, right? I think there's so much truth to just doing what you want to do, not worrying too much about what others think. And again, from a financial standpoint, it really is not that hard to get involved from a financial standpoint, where truly with a couple $100, that is more than enough to get involved and start, experiencing the stock market and, what we do here on Common Education. Well, guys, we're going to open it up. Okay. If you have questions, go ahead and start firing them off here into the chat. Again, successful CEO, COO, extremely, successful in his personal life, absolutely crushing trading stock options, mastermind a year ago. Here he is now, just again, sounds like he's just improving and getting better every, single day. And you guys can see how much fun he has, how much he actually enjoys it, right? And I think that's one thing that we always gotta, point out, is that this really is fun. It's a great way to wake up in the morning. It's a great way to spend your day. If you, work a job, or you have, office space, like, you're supposed to sit and scrolling through, doom scrolling on your Instagram and TikTok account. Get in the markets. Find ways to make money in the markets. All right. So I know there was a few questions before, so let's address these first. One quick question for you, Lance, then we'll have a bunch of others, I'm sure, rolling in. Besides volume and price action, what indicators do you like to focus on? Do you wait for the first 15 minute before trading, or, kind of just, other than price action and volume, what else are you utilizing to enter trades?
Yeah, I haven't been. I've had some successful first candle trades, but I think for me, it feels to me more like the flip of a coin. So I really like to see at least two 5 minute candles, right? I'd
Cool.
prefer to kind of go 15, but if I've got like, and I look at a lot. I mean, I love some of the indicators like the pre-market highs and lows and things that we learned, that those have been very helpful that we didn't even talk about. But
Mhm.
prior day and pre-market highs and lows, and I kind of look at a trend, and if I go, hey, I see, after the second 5 minute candle, it's going in that direction, then I'll jump in. But I would say I've had some big wins doing first candle, but I would say for me, it's more of a flip of a coin. I'm just kind of, you know, and so because a lot of times I'll see like, hey, this should be going up, and I'll see a big dip, and I go,
Mhm.
wow, if I would have just waited 2, 3, or 4 minutes, I would have caught the bottom of that, and it goes right back up. So that's really one of the things that I think's been very helpful.
I love it. And the truth is, if you're reading price action and volume, you need a minimum of two candles, right? To be able to see, okay, price is going which way and what's the volume like, right? And so I love that. And there's so much truth to that, is, giving yourself a little bit of time once market opens. Another question that came through, how do you how do you handle FOMO, right? So again, you just shared, right? He just gave an example, right? He said, had he done something slightly differently, the $80,000 he's made over the last 3 months, it would have been 120,000, right? So you left 40,000 on the table. That's real money. That's real experience. So how do you handle FOMO? How do you not go, what traders call on tilt, where you just try to, like revenge trade it all back, or, kind of lose your head? How do you handle the fear of missing out, so to speak, on a trade?
Yeah, you'll see. I mean, I've had some trades where I've done FOMO, and I've gone, well, I'm down. But I think that um, if you really journaled it and looked at it all, like sometimes at the end of the day, I'll go through and go, hey, it's the end of the day. Where's this option at? And I'll go, wow, I sold it at $2 and it's now at $1. So there's as
Right.
many of those that if you didn't take them and you just let that play out, I go, I would have been down a ton more. So I think you have to look at both sides of it. There's FOMO from like, oh, I could have doubled this opportunity. I rarely go back though and say, hey, I sold this and I made $5,000. I could have made 10 or 20 or $30,000, because
Mhm.
that's, for me, that's just not good mojo. I have a friend that does that all the time and goes, hey, if we would have held this longer, I go, I don't even want to know. I'm more concerned about the ones the other way that I just said, oh, I held it too long. So I really focus on, and if you see my notes, I'll go, you're a freaking idiot. You didn't put a stop loss even at 50% in this trade. How
Right,
stupid are
right, right.
you? Right. So those are the things I try to focus on more. But I mean, I've seen everything, right? I've seen people, even when I started trading crypto, when I started trading crypto, I saw things that most people never see. And there's times where I went, I made a ton of money here. I could have made double that, or I could have lost it all if I'd have waited another week. So, especially with trading crypto, I've seen that kind of thing. Like, oh my gosh, I'm up 50K, and it started to go down, and or whatever, and I took some of this out, and then if I would have waited a week lower, it'd been worth $2,000. So I think you have to look at both sides of that really well.
And I think that's such a skill. Like truthfully, Lance, like to the ability to look at the side of the coin that helps you feel like good about your loss. Because I think it's so easy for humans, right? Human nature to think, oh yeah, like I got stopped out here. They don't think of what could have happened bad. But when they're up, and then again, they're like, oh my gosh, like had I held it, I would have made so much money. And it becomes this negative as opposed to a positive, like, well, yes, that's true. But had I not followed my stop loss here, then yeah, I would have lost everything. So I just want to
Yep.
point out, guys, that is a skill, right? And that's a skill that Lance probably has had for a very long time. Because guess what? When you're in business and things are going wrong, right? Fires are happening all around. You can't think about, oh, what could have been or what should have been. It's like, no, when you're in that moment, that's your reality. And so you have to have that almost like I always call it like the irrational optimism, right? Where it's just like, no, like it's gonna work out, we're gonna be fine, it's gonna be good. And yeah, could have, had some more there, but ultimately, like it could have been just, it could have been a lot worse too. So I
Yep.
love that mindset, and I think that's something that people can learn from and hopefully incorporate into what they do. Another question: what trading platform are you using?
Well, that's a funny question because right now I use Schwab, but I have Coinbase. I have for crypto, I have 4 or 5 wallets. I don't trade much crypto besides Bitcoin anymore, but I still do. But I really focus. It's Schwab that I focus on. I had TD Ameritrade, and they were bought by Schwab, so I
Yep.
started on TD Ameritrade.
And Thinkorswim is their day trading platform. By Charles Schwab, it is, in my opinion, the best for trading options. Auto send, quick in and out. They're active trader. I mean, it's fantastic. It's really really good. From a friend that we both know well, Danny. Once you're up 300K, will you buy a GTR?
A GT3 RS. That's my goal. That was one of my goals too. And that's a good way to look at some things. Is like if you've got a goal to buy something, whether it's a new set of golf clubs or some sort of car or something like that, it's really easy to justify. If I walked into my wife and said, hey, you know what, here, you didn't even know about this, but I'm up this, and this is where I'm going to go pay for cash for this car. Yeah, it'd be something I'd love to do. That's kind of my ultimate goal. It started out with Bitcoin, saying, okay, if I got up this much, I'd go buy the car I wanted. But at some point too, you got to take stuff off the table and go reward yourself, right? I'm up 80K and I want this new bike and it's 10K. Go do it. Take it out. You're still up 70K and you've got something to show for it versus, hey, 3 months from now I'm down to 50 and I should have done something.
I think there's so much truth to that. That's one of the biggest things I teach when we go through and we have students succeeding and they want to start increasing their position size. I tell them you need to be withdrawing profits as quickly as possible because one of the easiest ways to start breaking habits or discipline as a trader is playing with quote unquote house money, right? There is no such thing as house money in the market. If you make $700 and it's sitting in your account, that's not house money. That is $700 that is yours, right? You deployed a skill, you deployed a strategy, that's your money. So if you leave it in there, guess what? When you're in a trade and you know you should be hitting that stop loss, you're thinking, oh, well, I'm up 700, so we'll just let it go a little bit longer, right? And I think that is, again, a huge problem that, in my opinion, makes people leave so much money on the table in the market. No, that's great. Another question. Do you trade SPX? So SPX, for those who don't know, SPX is an extremely volatile ticker that costs a lot more than SPY QQQ. It has same day expiration contracts. It does not use pre-market data. Um, yeah, so SPX, do you trade SPX?
I don't. I have not. It's something I've thought about, and it was based on something you said in your mastermind class at one point in time that you were thinking about that, but I have not.
So SPX, just again, for anyone who is listening, really the only benefit to trading SPX is to save on fees because the contracts cost so much more. They're like $12 a contract, sometimes $15 a contract, right? So a $1,500 position size would be, one contract. And it's good if you're trading with mega size. So if you're, throwing 10, 20K into a trade, yeah, SPX can be good. But for the average day trader, stay far away. It's violent price action. It is extremely volatile. And again, without some of the major things that we use as day traders, like pre-market data, aftermarket data, it can some of the biggest losses I've ever seen people take in the stock market were trading SPX. So just beware for whoever asks that. SPX can be tough. Well, guys, again, we appreciate you being here. Lance, any final words for those here listening in? Can be life related, can be trading related, can be nothing to do with anything we've talked about tonight. Is there anything you want to leave the 60 or so people here with us tonight? Is kind of your final say, your final word?
Yeah, I'll leave you with two things. One's kind of related and one's not.
Perfect.
Um, in my opinion, it is very difficult for someone over 30 to be passionate enough about something to learn something new. One of the things I went through periods of my life where I'm like, I don't think I learned anything new in this 5 year period, but always important, whether it's learning how to trade, learning future, or whatever, you got to learn something new. And right now, with my opinions totally on the markets and the economy and the state of our, kind of the world, one of those things should definitely be AI. You should focus some percentage of your time, whether it's 4 hours a week, 1 hour a week. You should really learn AI and what's going on. If you don't, I think you'll regret it. And that's what I tell everybody, like, aside from trading, is you need to understand and learn as much about AI as you can.
Love that. That is great. I couldn't agree more. I've become, a Claude, open claw vibe coder a little bit, got my own little Mac mini. So much of, some of the cool new things happening at Uncommon Education with, automatic indicators, automated trading. Some of these things, again, are all provided through some of these AI features, and I agree it's something where, and again, Lance is involved in Uncommon and helping on some of the back end side of things. And I think that as a business, honestly, I think that over the next 6 months to a year, I believe that a lot of what I'm doing isn't going to make sense to people, and it almost seems like what is he doing, why are we adjusting or changing things. And 18 to 24 months from now, they're going to be like, what a genius. How, thank goodness, he was doing that. And so it's, I truly do believe and want to echo what Lance is saying. If you are not versed in AI, number one, it's pretty frightening, what the state of the world is and where it's all going. But number two, it is one of the craziest opportunities to put yourself ahead of 90% of people on planet Earth. And most of the tools are free. Most of the tools are free. So I just want to echo, Lance, like, I think that is some of the best advice we've had on any of these Instagram lives is enveloping yourself in AI. I love that. That's very,
And
very good.
in the next 2 years, your job may depend on it. Your job will probably change, and my industry is changing probably the biggest. Think about contact center people answering the phones and AI, invading that space. It's going to change. So be ahead of it. And I think even 90% is conservative. You're probably ahead of 98% of the world if you
You're
will
right.
start to get into AI.
You're exactly right. I love that. Well, guys, this has been fantastic. Again, about 45 minutes. That's right where we wanted to wrap things up. Lance, it's been an absolute pleasure. We really appreciate you. Congrats on all your success. I'm really happy for you, and it's fun to see, your take on the market and how you've, implemented the things at Uncommon here. Again, if you guys are here, you are automatically entered into our drawing. We're gonna, post it on our story a little bit later. Raffle for a live 50K funded account through Tradeify. Raffling that off just for being here. If you guys have questions about this mastermind program that Lance went through, if you have questions about what we do as day traders, feel free to direct message Lance. Feel free to direct message us at Uncommon Education Trading or my personal page at Jeremy Lieber. Looks like remember the foundation to golf is grip, stance, alignment, and a good pre-shot routine. Thanks for taking the time to share. Love it. I don't know if it was Catherine. If it wasn't, we'll post. It's been a crazy few days. I'll make sure our team. If it wasn't, we'll make sure to post that. But Lance, seriously, thanks a bunch. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to seeing you in the chat and hearing more of your success as you continue on.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.
Okay, thanks, Lance. Appreciate it, guys.